to meet you all. She's going to help us practice our clapping all morning, so we will see Mary very, very soon. But hello, I am Ali from Bookfest, and it's really good to see you all. You have to help me out because I'm a bit nervous. I'm used to seeing you all in your classrooms and school halls, and oh my goodness, you guys up there, you're so tiny. You look like tiny little hobs from the forest. Hello! Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. And hello to everybody back in school. We're sorry you can't be here. Give them a shout, everybody who's in school. Woo! Hello! So we need to get started, guys. Thank you for getting here this morning. I've heard, Mary, hearing that you've come half an hour, and some of you have only come a little way, so well done for getting here. But it's time to get started. You have been reading, you have been voting, you've been writing letters, you've been painting pictures, and now is the time we're going to find out who the winner of the big Book Award 2022 is. Woo! So, I am going to come over here because it is time to welcome our authors to Theatre Severn this morning. Are you ready? I would like to welcome, first of all, onto stage, the wonderful Tim Tilley, the author of Heartlights with Poppy Sharp. Next, we have the amazing Patrice Aggs and Joe Brady, the author and illustrator of No Country, with Alice Mansell. We also have the amazing Jamie Russell, the author of Skywake Invasion, with Finn Reynolds. Now, guys, we are missing a few chairs and a few authors, I think you can see. I'm a little bit sad. I think this year, have you missed out on anything yourselves? Have you missed out on a birthday because you were ill, or we couldn't do things because we were locked down? Has anybody had to miss out on anything? Has anybody not been able to get married because you couldn't go and get married? No? Anyone? Oh, a teacher has. Oh, she's done it in the end. So we've all had to miss out on things. And you know, this funny old year that we've had has meant that actually we're missing out on some of our authors. So sadly, we have no M.G. Leonard, we have no Lisa Thompson, and we have no Nizrana Farouk, but we will be hearing from them later. They have prepared some things, like the Oscars. They've prepared something for us, even though they can't be here. So we're going to give them a shout out later on, but we're going to move on. Because I think Mary is going to come and help us remember those books. So I think it's been a little bit of a while. You voted on March the 25th. Do you remember? And we're going to refresh your memories now, and we're going to try to bring the books alive with a little bit of help from Mary. So you might be able to help her too. Okay.
I'm ready. Are you ready? Yes, that's what I like to hear. So, as Ali has said, hello, my name is Mary Izzard, and some of you might remember me from the How to Write and Perform Your Own Soliloquy workshop, or some of you might not. It's fine. It's fine. I won't take it personally. So, as we know, today at Bookfest, it's a real celebration of the 6 shortlisted books. So in honour of that, we've actually received some gifts. And today, it's my job to find these and to share them all with you. How great does that sound? Yeah! Are you willing to help me? Oh, I said, are you willing to help me? Excellent. All right, then. So let's have a little look. I'm going to have a little look over here. Doesn't seem to be... Is there anything under your chairs? No? 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 Anything? What about over here? Is there, maybe there might be a notebook of some kind or something? Yeah. Hey, we found something. We found something. It looks like a notebook or a sketchbook. Let's have a little look. There's something written inside. Shall I read it? Yeah! All right, okay. It says, Dear reader, if you're reading this, then please take care of my comic book. I've been working on it for a little while now, and I hope it's going to be something special for us all to enjoy once the madness of this war is over. I especially like all the drawings of the bees that I've been doing with my dad just before I started back at school. I'm particularly proud of the waggle dance explanation. My sister Hannah also said that my comics were great, but reminded me that bananas grow on trees. But with all the potatoes we've been growing, I think I must have just got muddled. So just before Dad went to work last night, he encouraged me to keep going with my comic and asked me to try and finish it soon. But ever since Free Kingdom attacked and invaded our home, we've had to abandon everything, and Dad is still nowhere to be seen. But despite the chaos and madness, there is always one thing that remains, reader: hope. Despite how hard Free Kingdom make it and how it feels, I know that we'll reach Mum together as one big family and that everything will be okay. It's going to be a long road with Hannah and little Dominic, but I'm so looking forward to the day when we're all safe again. I'll leave another message for you on my way. Lots of love, B. Wow, isn't that fantastic, guys? Wow, amazing. So I think we better keep Beatrice's comic book safe for her. But up next, we have our wonderful author and illustrator of, you guessed it, No Country, Joe Brady and Patrice Aggs.
Hi, thank you guys for having us. We are so excited to be here. We usually, I think at this stage, if we had a prose book, we'd be doing a reading.
We would.
Which would be tough with a comic, because it's tough to read a picture, I guess,
Can't
out
do
loud.
Speech balloons.
So we thought we'd just talk for a minute about what it's like making a comic and what the process is. Does anyone here draw or make comics? Has anyone made? I can't see. I need to hear. If your hand is up, could you? There we go. Whoa, so that's like at least 16 of you, maybe 300, 400, 600. And who draws? Who writes? Who draws and writes? Wow, this is a talented bunch of people. So when we make comics, in this particular, it's us up there. It's not a cover of the book. In this particular comic, I came up with the original idea, and I wrote down scripts, kind of how you think in a film script, and I gave them to Patrice, who made them readable, who made them into the comic that you see. And I think, yeah.
Well, you say that, but actually what happens is I draw on tracing paper, which I think is kind of something weird. But the reason I do that is because if you draw on tracing paper and you think, ooh, that looks like a really, really lovely picture, and you turn it over and look at it, if you look at something in reverse, sometimes you think, ooh, how could I have drawn something that awful? And so you turn the thing back over and draw again, and turn it over and rub out the bit that you didn't like, and you keep turning back and forth until you finally get a picture that looks good on both sides. And that's kind of what I do with Joe, because he will write something and give it to me, and I'll think, that's a bit weird.
That's terrible.
And then
and we're skipping the part
where send it back, and
where I've written 5 drafts, and the editor said, "Ooh, no, redo that, rewrite that, until we get something that's great."
Yeah.
Well, I flatter myself, but
this is the idea.
Done,
this
ready
is
to
the
publish.
Idea. Yeah.
But yeah, and then I think do you have questions?
Did you have them?
Some questions were kind of given to us in advance.
Yeah.
I don't have them.
Can you remember any of the names?
No.
I don't remember the names of the questionnaires.
Okay. So can you remember the answers? And we might work out who asked the question.
Well, I think the first question was somebody asked, why did we want to make a book about war?
Okay.
Is the person here that asked that
question?
Give us a shout if you asked them a question. Did anybody send a question for Joe and Patrice?
Yeah?
Maybe they're in school, so you can tell everybody at school as well.
Well, to the people, it was the idea of this wasn't necessarily to write a book about war. As you may be able to tell from the way we're talking, we're not from England, and we're far from home. And the book is really, for at least for me, about home. It's about that sense of being far away from somewhere that you can't go back to, and that constant longing to be there. And it was a thought about, what about the people who can't go home or whose home no longer exists, and what does that really feel like? And then the other thing is, it's not about war per se, but it's about that feeling of we feel like we're outside of it, and what would it feel like to be there in our own cultural language. And so it's a book about the people who are away, and what that feels like, and that sense of sadness and hope that can be built around that.
And also how important things like family are.
Yeah.
And the little things, not about whether you've got the right pair of socks packed into your rucksack, but what other things you're leaving behind, which is basically, it's important for all of us, I think.
Yeah, and socks are very important. Yeah. Like socks are totally essential.
Especially if they match.
I'm wearing matching socks today, unfortunately, but I rarely.
That question was from Muxton Primary School, and they are back in school watching. So hi
Muxton
Muxton,
Primary
thank you very much.
School.
And your next question was from St John's, and they were coming, but 4 of their teachers are ill, and they haven't been able to come today. We've only just heard about half an hour ago. So I hope they get to watch it at home. So hello St John's, thank you very much. So that's your next question about your character.
Yes, what character do we like?
I think I kind of like Hannah best.
I kind of like Bea best.
Okay.
I like Bea best because there's this essential thing that we all have to do that is easier in kids and gets harder and harder as we grow up, which is just keeping that light of hope and compassion and kindness alive in us. And to me, Bea is a representation of someone who really tries to keep that light and kindness burning. That's why I like her.
Yeah, okay, but that's part of it, because Hannah, she's a teenager. This is why I think I like her best, basically, is because she's got a really tough road to hoe, basically. Yeah. And she's a teenager, and being a teenager is tricky, but she's also kind of trying to be a replacement mum for everybody else in the family, which is tough. So I feel a bit sorry for her. But the person I liked drawing best was Poppy.
Yeah.
Who could have been quite a fireball had she been allowed to hang around for more of the story.
She had to go.
So, yeah. Thank you for writing her in.
Right, your next question, Eliza. Are you here from West Felton? She must be here today. Eliza, give us a wave.
Eliza.
Hello. So she had your last question. Do you want to shout it out? Can you remember what it was? I bet you can't. So her question was, why did you decide to make it a series instead of just a standalone book? Thank you, Eliza.
Well, originally, the original concept... Has anyone here heard of the Phoenix comic, the weekly comic? For kids, a couple kids. It's a comic, it comes every week, and the Phoenix was originally in that. And originally, it was never even meant to be a full story. It was just meant to be little check-ins of these people, and there were all sorts of plots that got cut, like Dominic, the little brother, was going to be a social media star in one world, and things like that just didn't make it out. And it was just the process of writing it that we started to find a plot. And then the reality is people who are refugees, who do have to leave their homes, just because this is the newsworthy part of their life that we hear about, doesn't mean they don't go on to keep living their lives. And so I kind of wanted to create that sense of, oh no, what happened to them, and leave that up to the imagination.
But the idea of having it in a weekly comic is that it's episode by episode. It makes you all have to stop and think and wait and maybe have an idea of what you think is going to happen next. And breaking it up like that, I think, is really useful way to see where the story's going. It's like the space between two comic book panels. You've got an awful lot going on there, and you have to figure out whether your idea is the same idea of the writer. So it got, and it wouldn't have all fit in one volume anyway, would it?
No, there's a lot more.
Sure.
It's a lot more story to tell.
Big story.
Right?
I think you're going to be looking out for the next one, aren't you, everybody? Lots of people have asked me, when's it coming? When's the next one coming?
Well, you guys, I gotta say, if we could just say one thing really quick. We were reading reviews, and it was amazing, and we were so inspired by all the things you said, and I just thought now would be a time to tell for the first people ever. The story will continue this summer in the Phoenix comic. So if anyone wants to find out what happens next, it'll be out probably some point in the summer, and we've started working on it.
Yeah.
So to answer that question,
Yes.
that's your answer.
Woo!
Thank you very much, guys.
Huge round of applause for No Country! So, shall we find the next gift? Shall we? Shall we find the next gift? Excellent, that's what I like to hear. Right. Okay, so at the top there, can you just have a look to your left for me? Yeah, and now have a look to your right. Anything up there? No? No? Oh, what about over here? Oh, whoa. Hey, what have we got? We've got a pair of binoculars. Hey! Look, these would be handy for you up there, actually, wouldn't they? I mean, hey, look, there's a note attached to it. Shall I read it out? Yeah! All right, then I'll read it. Oh, okay. Hello, fellow twitching enthusiasts. Here I am gifting you my favourite pair of binoculars. Oh, that's nice. Oh, no, just for the day, apparently. Very nice. So you'll be glad to know that Scabby, Maud, Squeaker and Frazzle are all doing well. And Frazzle in particular is well. Frazzle, bless his brilliant pigeon brain. I'm still working through the list of birds I've seen, but there's only so many you can find in Aves Wood. Obviously still patiently waiting for when I'm old enough to go to New Guinea and see the bird of paradise. Amita is still as generous as ever, giving us potatoes, courgettes, tomatoes, onions, bunches of cut herbs, peas, beans and raspberries from her allotment, because she never manages to eat everything she grows. I still can't believe Gwen Ryan was Ava and Teepee's mum all along. Hashtag justice for Gwen Ryan was trending for ages after we caught Fergal. School's also been a lot nicer recently. We've even started a bird watching club, and it's going so well. We're called the Twitchers. I never thought in a million years I'd see Vernon, Terry, Azuru, Ava, Teepee and Tara all absolutely loving twitching. And you remember the oath, right? Right? I do solemnly swear never to knowingly hurt a bird. I will respect my feathered friends and help them when they are in need. I will protect every bird, be it rare, endangered or common, and fight to conserve their habitats, or may crows peck my eyes out so I am dead. For I am a twitcher now and forever. I wonder if maybe you've been twitching recently. Write to me soon and tell me what birds you've managed to see. Speak soon, Twitch. Wow, that was brilliant, right? Right? Yeah, amazing.
Right, as I said before, we're really sorry, and MG herself is very sorry. She tweeted us yesterday, so she's sad not to be here with you all, but she did have some questions. So where is Millie Richards from Packwood? Where are you, Millie? Give us a wave, Millie. Woo! So Millie asked, when you were a child, were you ever like Twitch? And MG's reply is, when I was young, I was really passionate about theatre and ballet, just like Twitch is passionate about birds. I wasn't sure I really fitted in at school. So like Twitch, I definitely use that focus and interest as an armour to protect me. Twitch is a mixture of both of my sons with a bit of me thrown in for good measure, so I would say there are certainly some similarities there. Brilliant question, Millie, well done. Where is Elijah from Greenfields? At home, at school? Elijah, hello. Your question was, what inspired you to write the book? And I know lots of you think that sometimes, don't you? Where do they get the ideas from, these very clever authors? So MG's reply is, the inspiration for Twitch came from the boys and girls who loved the Beetle books. You might have read some of those. Many of them were bird watchers and would ask me to write a bird watching adventure. I also took inspiration from the opening of Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, where Pip the hero bumps into an escaped convict in a graveyard. And of course, I'm inspired by all the adventure stories I read as a child. However, the setting of Twitch is heavily inspired by a real place called Cromwell Bottom. She didn't tell me that was going to be written down. I went on holiday there with my family and we saw some incredible wildlife. If you look at a map of Cromwell Bottom and compare it to a map of Aves Wood in my book, you'll see how closely linked they are. Okay, and where is Joanne from West Felton? Joanne, way, well done. Your question was, is there a reason why Twitch keeps common pigeons and not a more exotic type of bird, which I think is my question of the day, Owen, brilliant. And MG says, yes, because pigeons are so cool and deserve more love. Everybody, all right? No more pigeon haters out there. They have extraordinary navigational abilities, which is why they were chosen to carry super important messages. When? In the wars, in World War I and World War II. They are super fast and can fly at an average speed of 78 miles per hour, despite what a lot of people think. They are very clean animals. Twitch is an independent, kind and nature-loving kid whose passion is birds, and he recognises how awesome they are. And I hope you do now too. Yes? Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you, MG. Can we give her a get well soon? She's not very well. Give everyone a big shout out. Should we get well soon, MG?
Get well soon. Let's show some love for Twitch. Yes, fantastic. Amazing. Shall we find the next gift, guys?
Woo!
Yes, I think so. So I'm getting some telepathic energy that there might be something around here. Tim, do you maybe have something for us?
Oh.
Oh, he's checking
It's a
his
hob.
pockets.
It's a hob.
He's checking his pockets. Oh.
What's that?
Oh, it's an acorn. Oh, cool. Amazing. Well, thank you, Tim. That's very, very kind of you. Oh, and if I squint my eyes, I think there might be in some teeny tiny writing a note for us. Shall I read it out? Yeah. Shall I read it out? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Here we go. To our new forest keepers, Papa Hearn here. Just wanted to write a quick note welcoming you all back to safety. Some may say that it was a close call, but I always knew Wick would save the lot of you. And what's an adventure without a little dash of will they, won't they? Now that we're all safe, I hope you're all settling into the forest nicely, although after hearing some of the stories about Olmar Bogey, it wouldn't surprise me if it took some of you a little longer. Here in Havenwood Forest, you'll find plenty of things to keep you busy, and there's plenty of seed loaf and birch syrup to go round, rather than horrid porridge. If you'd like, after lunch, we're going to start building some more huts with the expertise of Wicks, but it would be great if you all wouldn't mind helping out, if you can manage it. We got to make sure that there's plenty of room for all your big wee ones. Tomorrow is the Bring Forth party, which of course you're all cordially invited to. After all, spring celebration is a time of new beginning and growth, isn't it? The celebration is tomorrow, just after sundown. And we look forward to sharing with you all the mouse-drawn cards packed with planted bluebells, primroses and snowdrops, some delicious honey cakes, seeded bread, sweet violet flowers, sorrel leaves, daisies, birch water and birch syrup. We'll be hanging banners. Oh, and don't forget to wear your bright green party clothes. We'll make a toast to your ongoing training to becoming forest keepers. You've all worked so hard and I think you all deserve a round of applause for that. Yes, you have. Looking forward to celebrating with you all soon, Papa Hearn. Way, I think we've blagged ourselves an invite to the Bring Forth party then, haven't we? Yes! So now let's hear from our lovely author of Harklights, Tim Tilley.
Wonderful to be here with everybody. So this is a little short reading from Harklights. As I get to my feet, his blackbird scurs into the air with swift wing beats, then glides to land on another branch. Bright sunlight makes a mosaic on the forest floor. I step from sunspot to sunspot as if they are stepping stones and the shade is water. When I hear a tapping sound not far off in the trees, I stop by an oak. Papa Hearn flies back and lands in branching shadows by my feet. Why are we stopping? What's that knocking? We wait. The tapping starts again. Woodpecker, says Papa Hearn. I crane my neck to look at the upper branches of the oak. My fingers trace the ridges of the trunk's grey bark. How hard is it to climb a tree? I think of the bottomless well and old Ma Bogey. She's the reason I'm afraid of heights, afraid to fall. Why should I let her hold me back? I tighten my jaw. You don't have to do this. We got time enough. If I'm going to be fully part of the forest, I need to climb. I clench my insides and fold back the sleeves of my sweater. I want to do this now. All right, but we can use something to help. He points his staff to a patch of ivy on the ground. I watch in wonder as a burst of green light shoots out and a tremor runs through the leaves. And I've got some lovely questions. So this one is from Abby Dickens-Evans from Packwood Hall in the stalls. There we go. Hello. And Abby's question was, what made you write a book about an orphan? Do you know what it's like being in a horrible orphanage? So when I was growing up, my dad worked in theatre, and there was a musical called Oliver, based on Oliver Twist, and I think I must have been about 3 or 4, and it was magic seeing the musical on stage, and also we got to be backstage as well. I got to see the set and the props, and my dad's first night present was a bowl, an Oliver bowl. So we've always had this sort of Oliver bowl in my sitting room. So Oliver Twist is very much a part of the fabric of my life. And in terms of the horrible orphanage, there was, when I was researching Harklights, there was a factory in London called the Bryant and May factory, and that was a match factory. And they used to have workers who used to work for sort of like 10 to 12 hours a day in really terrible conditions, and they were paid very little wages. They were paid what was called a starvation wage, which doesn't sound very good. And then there was this wonderful workers' rights champion called Annie Besant, and she sort of challenged she challenged the owners of the factory, and she managed to change the working conditions and get better pay for the workers and make it more safe. The second question is from St John's Catholic Primary School, who unfortunately cannot be with us, but the question was, what was your inspiration for the tiny hobs? So when I was growing up, I loved Star Wars, and I used to play with Star Wars figures. I think I might even have a little bit of one of them here today. And actually, the old Star Wars figures, that's the scale for the hobs. And I was using these as an idea to see how they related to the scale of leaves and twigs and acorns. So when I was growing up, there was a play set of a tree house made of plastic. And it was pretty rubbish, I thought. So I made my own little tree house and little dens, and that sort of gave me the inspiration for the hobs. There was also a book called, a series of books called Bramley Hedge, and that was a story about these little mice living in a hedgerow, and they lived in a hollow tree, and that was also an inspiration for Harklights. And also there's another wonderful book called The Brewer's Dictionary of Phrase and Fable, and this was the oldest book that we had in our house. It was from about 1893. It was like quite crumbling and falling apart. But I was a big fan of the Lion and the Witch and the Wardrobe and the Narnia books, and I used to love spending time sort of reading through this dictionary, looking at the words for sort of like elves and gnomes and dwarves. And the word hob is an old Scots word meaning household spirit. And I think some other authors have been inspired by the Brewer's Dictionary of Phrase and Fable, because the word hob is also Dobby, which is also a friendly household elf. There we go. And the third question is from Erin, from Year 6 at Winifred School. Is Erin around?
Down here, somebody?
There we go. Hello. And Erin's wonderful question was, is there a specific place which inspired you to write Harklights, or was it woods in general? So when I was growing up, I grew up in Leicester, and there was a medieval deer park called Bradgate Park, and that was, so when we used to go on family walks, we used to go to Bradgate Park. It's like quite open, but had these wonderful hollow oak trees that we used to climb in. And there was one particular tree that was like it was like a wooden castle. It was like hollow inside, and my brother and I used to crawl through this cave-like opening and climb up inside this hollow oak tree. And we used to imagine we were playing like Narnia and Star Wars and Robin Hood. And then years later, my brother and I returned to Bradgate Park, probably about 10 or 12 years later, and we returned to see if we could find this tree, and it was still standing, even though it's hollow inside. But we were too big to climb inside. When we were returning to the car, what I thought was a distant tree in this sort of silhouette and this wonderful sort of like golden light stood up, and it was a stag. And for me, that magical moment was the story spark that ignited Harklights. There we go.
Wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Amazing! Hey, thank you so much. Shall we find the next gift?
Yeah.
Yeah, you in the middle like, yeah, why not, eh? Okay, so the middle row there, why don't you just have a little look to your left? Maybe have a look up. See if you can see anything for me. Anything up there? Anything? Oh, no. Okay. Oh, there's something over here. I wonder what this is. Hey, it looks like a collage. Oh, wow. Okay. On the back it says, message recorded. Please press play. Shall we ask them to press play for us then? Yeah. So, do we have something to play?
At the back?
Yeah, at the back. Yeah. Brilliant. Let's press play then.
Hello, it's me Ellie, speaking to you all through the Ellie bot. If you're listening to this message, then you must be at Bookfest 2022. I'm so glad that we all get to be together again. I'm really enjoying being back at school with Anna and the gang. Although I'm still doing part-time, it's really nice to be able to see my friends again in person. I'm still adjusting and still using Ellie bot from time to time and trying not to compare myself to the others who are constantly up to something amazing. I try to remind myself all that matters is taking one step at a time. Anna and I often remind ourselves of all the small things that we love. I'm sure you all have a list of small things that you love too. On our list are sunbeams, blackbirds bathing in puddles, delicious smells from baking and reading. We've actually been reading some really interesting books at school recently, some about the Titanic. I hear you've been reading some really cool books too, is that right? Anyway, I just wanted to send on this little good luck gift to you all. I know it's not much, but sometimes it's the small things that are the best, aren't they? This collage heart meant so much when Anna gave it to me on my first day back at school. It made me feel truly welcomed back into class. I thought it might be a good idea to pass it on to you all now, and hopefully it might help you all feel really good and perhaps bring some luck to you all today. Best of luck to everyone in all the competitions at Bookfest today. Love, Ellie.
Wow, brilliant. Well done. A message from Ellie. I can't believe it. So, sadly, Lisa Thompson couldn't be here. She only wasn't able to come last week, so we were so sad she couldn't be here. But she has sent us a film, so we're going to be able to watch that now.
Hello, Bookfest people. Hope you're having a fantastic time. Now, I have 3 wonderful questions that I have been given, and I'm going to answer them for you now. So, the first question is from Delon in Clee Hill Academy, and the question is, where did you get the idea to use the robot in school? Now, this actually came from a real experience I had. I visited a school in the northeast of England and I was presenting an assembly. So normally I have a PowerPoint screen, I'm showing pictures and I'm talking about the books that I have out at that time. So all the children came in, they all sat down on the hall floor, and then the teacher set some chairs around the back for the teachers to sit on, and then on one of these chairs she placed a white robot. It was about this big, I would say, and it had a cube at the top and a cube at the bottom, and it had sort of eyes here, and then some dots on the chest that looked like a speaker. And the teacher came over to me and said to me, "Oh, just to let you know, Lisa, that robot is actually a pupil who is watching this whole assembly from home. She's not able to come into school because she's poorly, so she's going to be watching your presentation. And if the head flashes or glowed a different colour, it would mean she would have a question. I might be able to see the head move as she's looking and she's controlling the robot from home." And I was just utterly blown away. I had never seen this before. So I kept that image and that idea and the things I'd seen in my head. And a few years later, when I was thinking about what book I would like to write next, I remembered this robot. I got in touch with the school, I got in touch with the family who used the robots, and I found out all about them. I also got in touch with the company that make the robots. They're based in Norway. And then I discovered there are quite a few of these robots in the UK. So that's where the idea came from. And that's why I used a robot in my story, The Small Things. So thank you very much for that question. So the next question is from Jimmy in Greenfields Primary School. It's actually two questions. How long did it take to write? And as it's a shorter book, does it take less time? because sometimes smaller books take longer to write. Now, this is very, very interesting, Jimmy. I'm actually trying to write a picture book at the moment, and you know, picture books are really small. I think there's roughly around 400 words in the picture book, and this book's got 10,000 words, and some of my other books you can see behind me have 60,000 words. So you'd kind of think a picture book you could write really, really quickly, and it's not the case. Sometimes the less words you have, the harder it is. The harder it is to write. So I would say this book wasn't too difficult to write. It didn't take me too long. The first draft for this story probably took about 2 weeks. So it was quite quick. And I think it was because I'd met the robot, I'd seen how they worked, I already had an idea of what the story is going to be about. So I had a really, really clear plan. And also, it is a shorter book in that the whole story is contained quite quickly. So when you're writing a longer book, you have other threads in a story that are going to help make that story longer and more gripping. So with a book like this, it's almost like a very, very long short story, if that makes sense. So thank you for your question. And yes, you're right about sometimes short things can take a long time to write. Now, a question from... where is it from? Longden Church of England Primary School, and this is from Amelie Crane. And the question is, which is your favourite book you've ever read? Now, what would be my favourite book I've ever read? I think one of my favourite books is probably Charlotte's Web, which I read when I was about 9 years old, I think. I do have a copy of it in my bookshelf somewhere. And it was the first book that made me cry. I had real tears pouring down my face. Now, if you've read Charlotte's Web, you'll know the bit I'm talking about, because it's quite famous for being really sad. And it's a really brilliant book if you haven't read it. I would recommend reading it. So this scene really, really hit me and made me cry. And then you might think, well, why would that be your favourite book if it's made you cry? But what it did is it made me realise how powerful books can be. A book that's just words on pieces of paper had the power to make me cry. It wasn't a film, I wasn't watching things, I wasn't listening and watching things at the same time. I was just reading. I was making pictures in my head and feeling an emotion that was so strong it made me cry. So I think Charlotte's Web is probably my favourite book that I've ever read, because that's what it did to me. And it was that book that made me want to be a writer. It made me want to write stories where other people would feel other things as well and make them feel something inside. So thank you for your brilliant, brilliant questions.
Brilliant. Can we give her a big shout out? Can we say thank you very much, Lisa, really loudly? She might hear us from here. Are you ready? Thank you, Lisa. Brilliant.
Amazing. Well, I think we've still got some more gifts to find. Shall we have a look? Yeah? Shall we have a look? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so where should I look? Any suggestions? Shout out where I should look. Left. Left. This left. This left. Oh, is anything over here? Yeah. This side. This side. This side. This side. Hey, what's this? Hey, what's this? What's this? There's a message in a bottle. Shall I read it out? Yeah. Shall I? Yeah. Yes, I think so. Right, okay. Oh, gently. Oh, lights up. Okay, let's have a little read. Dear Razzie and friends, it's Zen. I thought I'd write with an update on my adventures across the world. How is Serendib? Whenever I see a turtle, I always think of Serendib and how I'll always have a home there. I've actually just reached the next distant island I had on my bucket list, and it almost took the last of my strength to row this far that I collapsed onto the nearest tree. For a little while, all I could see for miles around was grey, cold, churning water. I was about to give up hope of any sign of life when, far in the distance, I saw a small village. I decided to walk towards it and discovered that the island was covered in tall, lush, dripping jungle. It rang with howls and screeches. The howls came from monkeys dangling and swinging in the trees, but the screeches came from parrots, bright green, red and yellow ones. But it wasn't long before I finally found the footpath towards the village. The people at the village are kind, but I can't help but feel ready for the next adventure, so I'm on the lookout for any crews that are in need of a ship hand. It feels a little weird to be trying to find a new crew without really having had a chance to say goodbye to the last, with no thanks to Marco and Cook. But hopefully, I'll find one with a captain that is just as encouraging and fun soon, that will be willing to take me on. I still carry the little whale that you whittled me, and when times get tough, I hold it close to my chest and think of you and Shifa and try to channel the determination you both had to save me that day. I'll never forget it. I'll write to you soon. After all, there's always more monsters to discover, villains to capture, treasures to be found, and of course, new friends to make, which I know that you and Shifa love hearing about. From Zeng. Oh, brilliant, brilliant stuff.
Thank you. So we're still missing another author. We're missing Nizrana Farouk, and we only found out on Monday that Nizrana couldn't come, so she's really sad also, but she's got some questions from you. And Muxton Primary back at school, you asked the question, what inspired you to write this book? Has she got an answer?
My inspiration for this book was the sea, and also whales. They are such amazing and magnificent creatures that I wanted to write a book about a whale. So my first book was about an elephant, and coming from that, I had to think about an animal that was comparable in some way to an elephant. So as I thought, I decided quite early on that I was going to write about a whale, specifically a blue whale. And that's because I wanted something as beautiful and lovable and as breathtaking as an elephant. And I thought, what better than a whale, because the whale's the largest land animal and the largest sea animal. And that's how I decided on a whale. And then I started to create a story, and I got swept away in the adventure, just like Razi. And the whole thing was a surprise to me. So yes, it started with the whale.
Brilliant. And we've also got another question from Clee Hill Academy. Hello, Clee Hill, back at school. And their question was, have you been to the island that the book is set on?
Yes, I have been to the island that the book is set in. The island is Sri Lanka. My version of Sri Lanka is a sort of fictional, long ago version of Sri Lanka. And that's where I was born and where I grew up. So whenever I think of my childhood, I think of Sri Lanka. So when I started writing this book, well, before that, my first book, my thoughts automatically went there, because all my childhood experiences were there, and I was writing for children. So that's how I came to set these stories in the island of Serendip. Even the name itself, I love it. It has such a beautiful, fairy tale ring to it. And I thought, what a great setting this would be for my stories, adventure stories. And that's what I did. So yes, I've been there. I think it's a beautiful place, and that's why I choose to set my stories there.
I think I could listen to Nizrana all day. So, and like Nizrana, St John's are the school that couldn't make it this morning, and their question, thank you very much, St John's, I'm sure you'll get to watch it sometime. What do you particularly like about whales and marine life?
What do I like about whales and marine life? Well, there's something quite special about whales, I think, and all sea creatures, because when you see them, something like whales, I don't know, my reaction is to sort of scream with happiness, and I think that's something that you don't really get with a lot of other animals. I don't think that's just me. I've seen it with other people, with my family and friends. Whenever we've seen them, you kind of never get tired of it, and that's what I wanted to convey in my book. When Razi sees the whales for the first time since he returned to the sea, that what he felt was exactly how I feel when I see them. So yeah, I can't quite explain it, but there's something that makes me so happy about it, which I think is really special and which I love.
Brilliant. Can we give her a great big clap? Can we do another shout out? Woo!
Ms. Rana Farouk. So, I think we're on to our very last gift. Well, firstly, good job, guys. Thank you so much for all your help. But, come on, we need one last time. Any suggestions? Where should I look?
They've got it.
Where should I look? Under the table? Under the table? Oh.
Is that teacher over there, that teacher?
Oh, over here? No, there's nothing down here. I'm getting some telepathic vibes from maybe over this way. Is there? There's something there. What is it? Oh, it's a pair of headphones that says, "Wear me." Should I put it on? Yeah. Should I put it on? Yeah. All right then, let's put it on. Oh, cool.
Oh.
Strength flows from you.
Game on! Yeah!
Oh, this is my jam! Yeah, time to heal up!
Group up here! Join me!
Oh, let's break it! Damn!
Get into position.
Group up with me! Group up here!
Reinhardt at your service.
I'm ready to start a blizzard. I'm back. Got it. My ultimate is charging.
My ultimate is ready.
Strength flows from you.
Wow, it sounds like the Ghost Reapers are absolutely smashing it, eh? So now it's time we're going to hear from the mastermind behind it all, the author of Skywake, Jamie Russell!
Hi everyone, it's really lovely to be here. Hello to everyone on the live stream as well. I think Bicton School are maybe on the live stream, so a big shout out to them. I know Bicton. So I'm going to give you a little reading from Skywake. As you probably already know, it's a book about aliens and video games and what it means to be a leader. And this is just a little bit from the opening, and then I'm going to answer some of your questions. Right after she fired it, the alien plasma rifle glowed in Casey's hands. It was big. It was heavy. Most of all, though, it was hot. It crackled with a tingling electrical heat that made the hairs on the backs of her hands stand to attention like soldiers on parade. She looked at the hole she'd just blasted in the side of Starbucks, a perfect circle like when she used a pencil and compass in Mr. Donovan's maths class. She could see right through it into the pizza restaurant next door. The remaining bricks, sliced in half by the plasma rifle's searing blast, burned red like charcoal in a barbecue. Wisps of black smoke curled above what was left of the barista's station. A hulking alien soldier stood beside the hole. It wore heavy black armour and a curved metal helmet that obscured its face. Two blood-red mechanical eyes were set in the helmet. They stared at her angrily. If she'd been a little bit more accurate, the hole would have been smack bang in the middle of the alien's armoured chest. But you weren't accurate, Casey thought to herself. You totally choked. It was true. The minute she'd picked up the plasma rifle, her body had flooded with fear and adrenaline. She'd pulled the trigger too early, and the heavy weapon had jerked out of her hands. Her shot, the shot that was going to save her life, had gone wide and destroyed the wall instead. And that was why she was now standing in a ruined Starbucks, being eyeballed by an alien soldier. This thing had travelled thousands of light years from some distant corner of interstellar space to invade Earth, and had almost been taken out by a 15-year-old girl. She guessed it wasn't very happy. That was the beginning of Skywake Invasion. Now, I know you've got 3 questions for me. I can remember the questions. I'm afraid I don't have the names of the people who asked them.
So, hang on a second. Jamie, your question is from Morgan Thompson at Packwood Hall. Morgan, are you here? Hi, Morgan.
Hello,
Your
Morgan.
question. Do you know what it is, Jamie?
Yes, so the first question was, why did I choose a girl to be the main character in Skywake Invasion? And the answer to that is quite simple. I am a dad and I have 2 daughters and they're about your age. And they always used to say to me when they read books, they would say, Dad, why is it that it's always boys who get to do all the fun action-adventure stuff? It's always people like Alex Rider, it's always people like Percy Jackson, even Harry Potter. They get to do all the fun blockbuster action stuff. They said, we'd really love to have a novel where it was a girl who did that. And so that was really where the idea of Casey came from. I thought it'd be great if we had a girl who was able to run around just like the boys, grab up plasma rifles and be the person who was able to stop the aliens from invading the Earth. And that was where Casey came from.
Brilliant. And the next question is from Clary at West Felton. Where are you, Clary? Hello, she's waving a very small wave. Thank you. Do you remember the question?
So the next question was writing a trilogy, I believe. Is that the right one?
Yes.
Yep. So was it easier to write a trilogy? And when I set out to write Skywake, I was only really thinking about it as one book. And then as it grew, I realised that maybe it could be a little bit more than that. And the publisher said, we'd love you to write 3 books. I was a little bit scared because I was like, that's quite a lot of writing to do. But what I loved about it and what I learnt by doing it was that when you think of a story, and I know lots of you are really great creative writers, so I know you probably know this already, I always think about a story in 3 parts. There's a beginning, middle, and end. And that's what Skywake has all of those things. But when by writing the trilogy, I've realised that actually, if you put the 3 books of the trilogy all together, it's the same thing. The first book is the beginning, the middle book is the really exciting, action-packed, explosive one, where Casey learns lots of things, and then the final book is where she takes everything that she's learned, and all her teammates take everything they've learned, and they try and fight the Red Eyes in a final battle. So it's been great to see that that structure works from one book or even across a whole trilogy.
Can't wait to read them, can we? Right, and the final question is from Brennan at West Felton. There he is. Hi, Brennan.
Hi, Brennan.
Remember your question?
Yes, and this was your question was asking me why I decided to become a children's author, because some of you might know I've been writing for a long time, but all of the things I've written in the past have been for grown-ups. And my daughters actually said to me, they were the ones who started all of this, because they said to me, Dad, all the stuff you've written has been really boring and we can't read it. So could you for one time, please write something for us? And I was walking them to school one day, and I actually live here in Shrewsbury, bizarrely. So I was walking them to school just up the road, and that was where Skywake began, because as we walked to school, I started telling them a story. And I started telling them about Casey and how she discovers that the video game that she's playing isn't really a game, and it's actually an alien training tool, and they loved it so much. And at first I thought they were just being nice to me, and they were maybe going to say, Dad, can we have a little bit more pocket money, because we said we liked your silly story. But they kept pestering me, and I'm sure you know about this, pester power. You pester your parents until they give you what they want. And so they did that to me over the next few weeks. They kept saying, tell us what happens next, tell us what happens next, what happens? And so I had to invent the whole story on the walk to school every morning.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Can we give Jamie a really big clap?
Thank you so much for all your help. But now it's time to get down to all the competition stuff. Woo! Right?
Thank you.
So give me your best Oscars clap for Ali.
Brilliant. Polite clapping down front here. Well done. So our first competition. Certainly our authors, you have been working hard, we know that, but you have been working hard as well. Give me a shout out to all the actors and the filmmakers in the room. And at home, where are you? Anybody that made some films? Ooh. Come on. Did you make a film? Yeah! Wow. Right, we've had loads of entries, and I would like to present Elle Weil from Pen to Bus Theatre to come to the stage. Oh, she came from behind me. How magical. That's what actors do. And Elle's our chief judge. Pen to Bus Theatre Company judged all of your films, and she's going to be able to tell us a little bit. You worked really hard, and we challenged you to bring those books alive. So, Elle, can you tell us what you found?
Oh, it was hard. You're amazing. It's so amazing to see this many faces in one room together, isn't it? Oh, a bit emotional. And the work you produced. The joy, the storytelling, the passion, the creativity, it was incredible. So you gave us a really tough job, but we did have to do the job. So we've got 3 runners-up and 1 winner. So shall I start with the first runner-up? Is everyone ready? A bit nervous. Okay, so the first runner-up with their dramatic, slick, full-bodied performance and production for their trailer of Skywake Invasion are Class 3 from Cheswardine Primary School. How was that, Jamie? Congratulations. Is this the whole of Class 3?
There they are. Give us a
Where
shout
are
out,
you?
Class 3.
Class 3, woo! Well done, that
Well
was
done.
amazing. There you go. Congratulations. You've got an incredible future ahead of you, the whole of you. You should create a production company. Take that to Hollywood with Jamie, you're sorted.
Well done, guys.
Okay, so our next runner-up for a single brilliant performance portraying many characters and a really complex story, we have the trailer for Twitch from Hey Ye Hilton from Packwood Primary School.
Well done.
Hello there, are you alright? I just saw some bullies knock you over. Come with me. I'll take you to the sweet shop to buy some sweeties. Come on, it'll get rid of the pain. Who's Robert Ryan? Ooh, I think he's a robber that escaped prison yesterday. Apparently, he stole some precious jewels of his gang and didn't share them out. Inspector, what's happening? Why are there so many police? Robert Ryan!
Where's Packwood School? Are you so proud? I hope you are. Congratulations.
Well done. You go that way now.
Oh, it's getting edgy. Edgy, edgy. Third runner-up. Okay. So So our final runner-up was chosen for their skilled use of stills. You know what stills are? Still photography. Incredible use of location, really layered storytelling throughout with their trailer of The Boy Who Met the Whale. It's Castlefield Primary School. It looks like you were having so much fun when you were doing that.
Where are you, Castlefield?
Congratulations. Castlefields, where are you? Make yourself known.
Is
that all of you guys? Who's responsible?
I think these guys are the winners.
Just you four. Again, very proud of your schoolmates. Well done, you guys. Big round of applause.
Woo!
And then you're going to go that way, I think, and get your photograph. Okay, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. Finally, our winning submission for their extraordinary varied performances, giving us a view into the inner world of a character and a heartbreaking insight into this story of friendship. With their trailer for The Small Things, it's Langdon C of E Primary School.
Longdon. Yeah.
Longdon C of E Primary School. Sorry.
Well done, guys.
Good morning, children. I'm very excited to say we have a new student joining us today. Now, they aren't able to come to school in person because they have an illness, which means they have to stay at home so they don't come into contact with any nasty germs. The robot is connected to her tablet at home, so she will be able to see what we are doing in class. It will be as if she were here with us.
I've been looking for...
Okay, children, time for the register. B.
Yes, miss.
Katie.
Yes, miss.
Mia.
Yes, miss.
Anna.
Yes, miss.
David.
Yes, miss.
Ellie.
Yes, miss. Ballet, and here I am with Pumpkin. Oh, and there's another one of me playing the piano. Lia's life is so interesting. Mine is so boring. I wish I could be like her, confident with all her clubs. I can't afford to do anything. Be yourself, Anna. That's always good enough, okay? It doesn't sound good enough to me. I remembered the day when I'd stopped doing my art. During break time, the girls in class had been talking about going go-karting on Saturday. I didn't say anything at the time, knowing it wasn't something I'd be allowed to do. I'd got home that day, and my picture had suddenly felt pointless. I'd just given up. Are you doing anything nice tonight? On Tuesdays I go ice skating, yeah. I guess you must have your own skates then. Yes, white ones. I could almost picture the shiny white skates with twinkling silver blades sitting in the bottom of my wardrobe. As well as 10-pin bowling and ice skating, I also told Ellie I had gone to football training and trampolining. I hadn't done any of those things, but the more I lied, the easier it became. I suddenly had so much to say that the words just flowed.
Not to have a little tear in their eye. And I was just chatting to these guys and they had no idea. But what did you think your teacher was doing, sending you up to?
Yeah, we just thought that we were moving places.
I thought they were being told to move seats. And they're the winners. Congratulations. And can we just note the excellent use of costume on stage today, right? Loving it. Oh, sorry. It is the wrong way around. Huge round of applause to our winners.
Well done, ladies. Off you go. That's it. Well done. Thank you.
And huge congratulations to every submission. Honestly, the quality was so high and it was such a difficult job. Keep making that brilliant kind of commitment to all of your creative work in school because it really is beautiful. Well done.
Well done, everybody. And can we say thank you very much to Elle Wild from Pentabus? Thank you. Right, guys, we're going to have a little bit of a breather now. So you've got time to spend an interval and your teachers have got some snacks and drinks for you. So we haven't got too long because we've got to get on. We've got lots and lots of things to do in the second half. So have a nice little break and we'll see you back very soon. Have a look out for your friends on the screen. Got my pom-poms out again! Woohoo! You're not all going to be too lively now, are you? You've had a bit of sugar. Are you going to be too lively? Oh! Right. However, I need you slightly calm. This is a very serious part of our award ceremony today because you don't just get to do book award because we ask you to do book award. Your teachers, head teachers, TAs, it's those people, I can see some of them smiling at me, it's those people that say, we want to do this with our children and we want to make them all brilliant readers who love reading books. So thank you very much to your schools for bringing you here, but we would like to today recognise some special schools. We have developed an award called Leading in Reading for some of your schools that are really going above and beyond, and they recognise and showcase your schools, and they are all demonstrating that they are developing a creativity and they've got imagination and they're trying to make you children that love reading for pleasure. I don't mean reading all those books in lessons and guided reading, I mean that you love reading books. And I think lots of you do, don't you? Yes, brilliant. So I would like to welcome from the University Centre Shrewsbury, Julie Homewood, who is a senior lecturer in education, to the stage. So she's going to help us to make some very important presentations. Thank you, Julie.
The schools who are being accredited today all have reading for pleasure embedded in their school ethos and throughout school life. They each do this in unique ways that reflect their different contexts. Displays around one school celebrate children's reading mileage, and a Worldopoly initiative encourages children to broaden their reading repertoire. Another school capitalises on the high profile of sport within the school. Pupils engage in different reading races to earn points for their houses in a competition to win a reading cup. A third school nurture a love of reading by sharing irresistible books with the whole school, and a book swap tree drips with tempting books. In all of the schools, reading for pleasure takes centre stage. It is promoted by staff throughout the school and celebrated and enjoyed by the whole school community.
Thank you, Julie. I'd also now like to welcome Piers Torday, who is an award-winning author, a previous shortlisted author with a Big Book Award, and he is a patron of Shropshire Bookfest. So he is going to come to the stage and talk to you and present our program.
Thank you very much, Ali. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. I first got to know this amazing award when I was shortlisted for the then Shrewsbury Book Award for my first book, The Last Wild. And it wasn't in this theatre, it was in a big old church. And it was absolutely amazing day of display of incredible creativity by children, just as we've been enjoying this morning. And I salute you all for the amazing work and responses you've been putting into these amazing books. So it was a no-brainer when I was invited to become a patron of this fantastic charity, which does so much to promote reading in Shropshire and Shropshire schools. But I'm here to talk about the Leading in Reading Award. And why is reading important? Well, yes, reading is important because it's useful to learn how to speak and write in the language that we need to get on in the world. But I also think it's much more than that. Reading for me is one of the great, true human magical skills. Nothing else on earth allows you to access the private thoughts of another person, to get inside their head like a book. When you open a book, you step inside someone else's mind and you see the world through their eyes and you walk in their shoes. You can go backwards in time, you can go forwards in time, you can even go off into outer space or turn into a different creature altogether. You can effectively escape from your own life and inhabit someone else's. And the more we learn how to do that, the more we understand how other people think and feel, and the more we understand about ourselves. And those, I believe, are the key ingredients for creating a happier world. And that's why I think reading is so important, and also why we should absolutely cherish and celebrate the teachers and institutions and schools and communities that put reading at the heart of their daily life, which is why it's a real pleasure to award this Leading in Reading Award.
Thank you very much, Piers. So we have 3 schools, thank you. We've got 3 schools and we'd like to invite you all on stage at the same time to come and collect your awards, and we can give them a great big clap at the end when they've all come up. So I'd like to welcome, please, Corinne Davis-Griffith from Hinstock Primary School. I'd like to welcome Sam Hughes from Packwood Hall, and I would like to welcome Megan Smith from Mount Pleasant Primary School. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming, Megan. Woo! Well done. Give your schools a shout out, and Mount Pleasant back at home. Well done, well done. And if you think you are a Leading in Reading school, pupils, if you think your school is doing lots of things to make you great readers, let us know. We'd love to hear about everything that you're doing. So thank you very much. Right, we go back to the prize table because it is time now for the art competition. Shout out to all the artists. Oh, that wasn't a shout out. Shout out to all the artists. Woo! Did you do a picture? Did you do a picture? Yes. So, we have got a very important VIP on stage in a moment. An illustrator that last night said, or actually on their website says, that growing up they spent most of their time doodling and drawing. So if anybody is like that here, maybe you are going to become a famous illustrator. I would like to welcome, and hello other VIPs, we haven't said hello to you. Welcome to you. I would like to welcome Martin Brown, the author and illustrator, and the illustrator of Horrible Histories, to the stage. Woo!
Hello everyone. Yes, my name is Martin Brown and I illustrate the Horrible Histories. Thank you very much. Yes, I illustrate the Horrible Histories, and history can be pretty horrible. And you know, The Horrible Histories is having its 30th anniversary next year, which is ever so slightly scary. But that's 30 years of but it's the great thing about illustrating. You get to draw anything. It is the best job in the world. I've also illustrated and written a book called Lesser Spotted Animals, which is about some of the world's more unknown creatures. And I've illustrated and written my first fiction book called Nell and the Cave Bear. Fiction, I know, a story, made up stories. Who knew? Apparently it's a thing. They're quite popular, it turns out. And the Shropshire Bookfest loves stories like no one else I know. I came to the Shropshire Bookfest the first time years and years ago and just fell in love straight away. It wasn't like coming to some official festival. It was more like a group of mates who like books. I mean, that's why we're here today, isn't it? That's why you're here, because we love books, and it's a really special opportunity to just celebrate something we really like. And my job in a minute is to help award the prize for the drawing competition, which I'm thrilled about, because I'm very glad that I'm not judging it, because that's really hard. Illustrating, drawing is hard. People who draw, everyone who draws, hands up. We know how hard it is, right? Writing, that's a doddle. Okay? The writers, we've got writer's block. We don't have that. We've just got to get on and do it. Writing is hard. I'm very thankful that I didn't have to do any of the judging. So I'm just going to leave you with that, really. I think we should find out. I mean, I've got one of the best jobs in the world. I am so lucky. But I think it's time that we find out who's going to be the next great illustrator. So,
brilliant.
Over to the winners.
So we did have some judges, and we'd like to say thank you very much to the Art Society Shrewsbury, who've always worked with us on this project. And I think we've got some VIPs here, so thank you very much for coming and for all of your support. Can we give them a clap? Thank you, Art Society Shrewsbury. The judges were looking for picture composition, effective depiction of your chosen scene, your technical skills, and your creativity and originality, and they were blown away. Their comments said that they couldn't believe the quality this year. So you've beaten all those other years, guys, so well done for all your hard work on making such brilliant pictures. They really were impressed. So we are going to see, first of all of the school winners. So your art and your name is going to come up, and I will let you know who you are. And at the end, we're going to ask you all to stand up and give you a big clap all in one go. So have a look for your art to see if you are a school winner. So we have Maddie from Alverley. We have Caitlin King from Bicton. We have Lucy Green from Castlefields Primary School. And we have Emily Holmes from Cheswardine Primary School. We have Ruby Britton from Clee Hill. Some of you can see them. We've got Ivy Pike from Condover. We have Sophie Coop from Hinstock. We have Millie Harvey from Lilleshall. We have Sam Drew from Longdon. We have Erin Hall from Longner. We have Jack Edwards from Muxton. And we have Jemima Estrada from Oxon. Wow. Alice Marsh from Packwood. Bella L. from Pressfeld. Grace Chen from Priorslee, back at school. Eleanor Merrill from Rushbury. We have Rosetta, haven't practiced your name, Rosetta. I won't say it, from Shrewsbury High School Prep because I will get it wrong. Well done, Rosetta. We have Ethan Williams from St Andrews. Harley Quick from St John's. And we have Will Craig from St Lawrence in Church Stretton. Freddie T from St Leonard's. We have Vladut Popper from St Mary's. We have Erin We have Erin Hogan from St Winifred's and Callum Bradshaw from West Felton. Can you stand up, all of those people? Let's give you a great big clap. Woo! Well done, everybody. Your prizes are hiding somewhere. Your prizes are hiding somewhere, so you get to take them home today. And if you're at home, we'll bring them to you very soon. Right. Oh, now we've got to find out about the top winners. So, should we do a quick drum roll with our feet and our hands? Louder, 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 louder. Right. Oh, so, 4th place we have Libby Dury Scott from Lilleshall. Come on, Libby. Brilliant. And give her a big clap. Okay. She's scooting along the front. So 3rd place goes to Erin Jones from St Winifred's School. Come on, Erin. Good girl. Amazing. In 2nd place, we have Indigo Exum from Longdon Primary School. Well done. And are you ready? Well, they know who they are. 1st place goes to Emily Wotton from Castlefields Primary School. Well done. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Art Society. And thank you, Artie. Brilliant. Okay. We're moving on to our letter writing competition. Shout out to the letter writers. Woo! 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 Okay. So we asked our letter writers to write some advice to a character in one of the stories, and they were amazing. The judges were in tears at some of the advice. You really dug into your own hearts and gave some brilliant advice about things you'd been through, and they were amazing to read. The judges said, or they were looking for, quality of advice offered to the character. They wanted it linked to the key events in the story, and they wanted a really good, well-written letter and great vocabulary. But one thing they really wanted was that your personality shone through. So I think we're going to find out with those winners now. So I think we will start with our first runner-up. Are they ready? The coming down. Oh, I've got the list to read. Sorry, I've got the list to read. Thank you very much. I've got to find my list of letter writers. Right, I apologise. School winners. So we had school winners, and they are. We'll just stand you up and clap you as well. Sophie Vivora from Bicton. Thank you very much. You're back at school. Charlie Fletcher from Castlefields. We've got Connor Wilson from Cheswardine. Ruby Britton from Clee Hill, back at school. Charlie Meller from Hinstock. We've got Indigo Exum from Longdon. We've got Josh Phoenix from Longner. We've got Leo Bishop from Oxon. We've got Jack Graham Palmer from Packwood. Lexi Folger from St Edwards. George Dunn, back at school. St Lawrence. Charlie J from St Leonard's. Jessica Griffiths from St Mary's, and Hallie Cummings from West Welton. Stand up, those people. Let's give them a great big cheer. Sorry, school winners, I very nearly missed you out, and you are very, very important because they were very hard to judge. Your letters were amazing. So we do have some runners-up and a winner. So we would like to welcome to the stage, hang on a second, Nathaniel Hale from Lilleshall, who wrote a letter about the boy who met a whale. Come on, Nathaniel. Brilliant. Let's give him a big clap. If you just go all the way off and I'll take a picture. Okay, and our next runner-up We had a letter for every book. So this was Rosie Cashmore from Rushbury, and she wrote a book about Skywake Invasion. Well done, Rosie. Okay. We have Georgia Davison from Shrewsbury High School Prep, and her letter was to the character in No Country. Is Georgia Davison here? She's coming over there. So Patrice and Joe will welcome you. Is she? Oh, she's coming this way. Well done. Let's give her a big clap. Well done. Well done. Sadly, Grace Fellows was from St John's, but hello, Grace at home. Congratulations. You were a runner-up with your letter for the small things. Well done to Grace. And we have another runner-up writing a letter to a character in Twitch, Edie Bell from Pressfeld. Well done, Edie. They're good shouters up there. Well done. Now we have picked a winner for the letter writing competition with an amazing letter which is going to be read out by the author themselves. So can I invite Erin Hogan from St Winifred's to come and meet Tim Tilley and have a look at her letter. Well done, Erin. Do you want to stand with Tim, Erin?
There you go. Okay, so this letter is to Mrs. Boggett at the Match Factory. To Mrs. Boggett, I write to you with strong suggestions on your running of the dreary place you call your factory. I clearly hope you heed them, or the authorities will become involved, and if I were in your shoes, I wouldn't even dare to think of the consequences. I suggest, firstly, that you deeply take into consideration what your workers deserve. The wretched children who work so tirelessly for you have such little in the way of luxury, having to sleep upon a grimy stone floor in an ancient building teeming with rats, the appalling conditions of the place they are forced to work in, the lack of your allowance for pleasure of any sorts, and their inhumane treatment. I advise you instantly cease this abhorrent behaviour towards today's youth, and that you deliberate over the other, not quite so harsh options. The first of which would be to give the children to loving families who will provide them with the education and care that is vital for their well-being, and take on keen adults with quick and steady hands who would, of course, be paid a handsome wage and allowed to take regular breaks and go home at the end of the working day. I also suggest a refurbishment of the place in its dreadfully unhygienic state. It is no place for anyone to be working in, young and old alike. Its stale, cold air and galled stone floors are devastating for health, and the lack of any comfort could lead to depression and/or severe health issues in later life. The third suggestion I now voice is this: change your ways, acquire a generous, understanding heart. Let people look up to you with adoring eyes instead of fear and animosity. Cease your destruction of the forest. Nature takes care of us, so it's only right we take care of it in return. I profoundly feel you should consider this letter I've sent to you if you value your freedom from chains, prison, and at the very least an immense fine and a criminal record. Yours in hope, Miss E. Hogan, from the HSPCC, the Harklight Society for the Protection of Cruelty to Children.
Wow. Well done, Erin. Woo! I think those authors better watch out, Erin. I think you're going to be following in their footsteps. Well done, Erin. Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you, well done. Oh my word. That was amazing. Guys, we're nearly there. It is very nearly time to say who is the winner of the Big Book Award 2022. We have to say some huge thank yous. And the first people we need to say a thank you to are these amazing authors who've been able to make it, long train journeys, COVID, work deadlines, everything else, and these guys have made it, and we'd like to say a really big thank you. Can you stand up, authors? We've got some people coming to say thank you very much. Could you come on and give this to them? You go up and take it. Let's give those authors an amazing applause. Louder than that, the biggest clap you can. Without our authors, Book Award would not be here today. So thank you for writing such amazing books. I think you loved them all, didn't you guys? Yes, we love them all. So thank you very much to our authors. Thank you, guys. Well, oh, shall I have that one? That's one. Okay, thank you. Do you know who should we imagine? It's one of the people that wasn't here. Let's give it to them. Woo! Thank you to all the guys that didn't make it as well. Right, you can whiz over back over there. Thank you. We're racing to get you down from up high to come and do our helping job. So sorry that we were rushing you through. Right. We also need to thank you guys in the audience for doing all of the reading and voting. Can you give yourselves a great big clap for all of your comments on the website? I know that you made contact with these guys as well. They've been tweeting you and sending you messages, so thank you for being so enthusiastic. It's been a funny old year, and you've really made Book Award 2022 what it was. Now, teachers, TAs, parents, grown-ups, all those people at home, who was told off for turning out the lights or not turning out the lights at bedtime? Anybody? Or poor parents getting cross with all of you because you were reading. So thank you, teachers. We know it's hard work for you, and we really appreciate your enthusiasm, creating all these new readers, writers, artists. What were their drama people? Filmmakers, actors, actresses. It's amazing. And we now are going to build up to our big announcement. Mary, are you around? Because I think we need... Oh, she's here.
So
right. I think we're going to do some practicing for building up to this announcement. What should we do, Mary?
I want to hear your best drum roll impression. So, on your chest, on your belly, on your legs, on your feet, on your head. Oh, that was really good. That was really good.
Very good. Did we try a Mexican wave at all,
Yes.
Mary?
Okay. So follow my hand, right? Starting from this side. What school are you? St. Leonard's. Starting with St. Leonard's. I want to see your hands in the air. So follow my hand, okay? And back again. And again. Brilliant.
I wonder who thinks which book.
Does anybody want to Okay, let's have a... I want to hear who thinks what book will win. After 3, I want to hear them. 1, 2, 3, shout. I didn't quite catch that. Did you catch that?
Did you hear your book?
After 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, that blew me away, that one did.
I wonder if the teachers know which one or what they wanted to win. Teachers, what did you think was going to win? Right.
Okay, drum roll at the ready. Ali, are we ready?
We're ready. Are we ready? Okay. Right, now we have to be really calm.
Deep breath.
Really quiet. The time is now. Do you know who's won, Mary?
I haven't got a clue.
The winner. Oh my goodness, I'm really nervous.
Just as excited as you guys.
Oh, just something came over.
Come on, Ali, tell us.
The winner of the Big Book Award 2022
is...
No tell what you were saying when you shouted out. Some schools had a favourite, and I know everybody spoke to me and said, this one was my favourite, then this one was my favourite, then this one was my favourite. So well done, everybody, and to all our authors at home. But I'm going to leave the stage to Patrice X and Joe Brady for No Country.
Wow, thank you so much. This is so unbelievably exciting. I've never won an award like this, and feels like there is no award like this. I've been watching all the stuff today. This isn't just an award for people from people who read. This is an award from our colleagues, other people who in the audience who make things, who write stories, who think thoughtfully and carefully, who make films, made amazing films. And it just, reading, as Piers said, is so important. Drawing is so important. Like in this experience, we've met aliens and robots and whales, right? We've seen stags and birds, and it just, what it means, what it feels like to me is and think about No Country and what the future might be. It might be hard, right? There might be some really big challenges ahead, but when I think about what everybody did, when I look at all the work, all your letters, all the reading, books are machines of empathy. They help us connect. And when you look at the future, the skills you guys have brought to this project, not just in reading, but in creating, I think those are the skills that we can all take forward into making the world a better place, to stand with one another, to welcome people into our country, to stand against war, to stand against climate change, and to make the society that we all believe in and we all know is possible. And it just gives me so much joy and so much hope. And thank you. Thank you so much. This is so amazing.
Well done. Thanks, guys. Wow, that's amazing. I can't believe that is the end of Big Book Award 2022. You all have been amazing. I've seen loads of you in school. You've sent loads of pictures. It's been great to see what you've been up to. Keep reading, guys, won't you? Find some really good books and keep going. And good luck if you're year 6 and you're going to secondary school. It's great fun. Good luck in your SATs. Have a brilliant summer after that. And thank you again for all of your hard work. We'll see you again soon.